Well, here I am back on the trade show floor, and I've run across Emile Cabot. He's a local MVP for cloud and data center, and thought we'd chat a little bit about Ignite. So, welcome, and thanks for making an appearance.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, I was really curious about what your thoughts were about this year's Ignite in terms of announcements. I guess you're doing a lot of work with hyperconverged, storage spaces direct, that kind of stuff. What do you think's been exciting for you?
On the hyperconverged storage spaces direct, Hyper-V side of things, not a lot of new announcements this week. They're actually going to be pushed out for the next version of Windows Server. So we didn't see a lot of new things come through on storage spaces and direct and Hyper-V. But what really interested me this week, Kevin, is everybody that's been coming up and talking to us about these solutions. Even as recent as last year's Ignite, we were getting a lot of contention, a lot of confrontation from people coming up, this solution doesn't do this. How can this go to production if it doesn't do that?
Yeah.
And this year, we're seeing people come up and they're saying, we've implemented storage spaces direct, we've implemented Hyper-V, and we're having this one issue, right? A lot of really deep discussions, really involved from people all across the room.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that with some of the industry reports, that there's a lot more hypervisor diversity, I guess would be the way to call it. So it used to be a one-horse show with VMware, and all sorts of other people have come to market, including Microsoft, and there's a lot more openness as to picking hypervisors that make sense for their needs rather than sticking with a particular vendor. Now, with the storage spaces side of the fence, that's kind of new, and how do you see that playing out right now? Like, do you see is it more of a small business thing, or do you see it as like a play for all sorts of sizes?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have customers up in the Midwest that have deployed 16-node storage spaces direct clusters, providing petabytes of data and millions of IOPS into these environments. Down to scale, of course. A couple of weeks ago down in Lethbridge, actually, we deployed a 2-node storage spaces direct cluster for a small law firm.
Okay.
So even these guys, because they had a very heavy SQL workload, they needed that IOP performance.
Yeah.
And from a 2-node storage spaces direct cluster, we were getting 450,000 IOP, from a $50,000 appliance. It was amazing.
Cool. So this is really kind of commoditizing storage and taking the price level down.
Absolutely, and with that reduced price level, what we're able to do is we're able to throw more flash, more NVMe storage into these devices, which drastically reduce the footprint of our data center. So another example is as an education customer that we have in Edmonton. We deployed a storage spaces direct unit to them about a year and a half ago. And over the course of the last year, they've decommissioned 4 racks worth of servers. And now everything is all sitting in that 2-year appliance.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge deal, because you're definitely not only cutting down on footprint, but the costs of running it.
The power, the backup, right, the generation that you need for outages, all of those requirements just get drastically reduced.
Nice. So, moving away from storage spaces, I've noticed that Windows Server 2016 is starting to adopt the Windows as a service model. And it's interesting. I think it's a good move, but I've seen a lot of initial fear from sysadmins, because I find the server environment is usually one of the slowest to transform in terms of upgrading to newest standards.
It is, yeah. And there's really 2 reasons for that. One, a lot of organizations much prefer to wait to see how this actually works in the real world before they want to put their bread and butter on these new systems. One of the problems that a lot of people, or one of the concerns that a lot of people have been raising up with me this week, is the servicing cycle that has been put forward from the server side of things is too aggressive. They're saying that they're not going to have the time to do their proper testing, their proper compatibility with all their internal systems before that end of support happens.
So do you think this is more for the DevOps / Azure side of the house where they might need features sooner rather than the traditional data center?
That's a good point, and it could very well may be, right? That's what we're seeing on the Windows 10 world, is with this more frequent servicing process and the servicing cycle, we're releasing, it's a good way for Microsoft to release a lot of these new tools.
Yes.
Are we going to see that in the server world? It's yet to be determined.
Yeah. I think everybody, it's just like Windows as a service for the desktop. People are still wrapping their heads around it, even though it's been around a while. It always comes back to the applications and how that's all going to fit together with these operating system changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Ignite so far, like we're Thursday now, and so we're nearing the end. How have you found this year's Ignite?
It's been huge. It's been fun. This is the biggest Ignite ever. There are I think 26,000 attendees on the Ignite side, and then another 4 on the Envision side. So
wow!
We got 30,000 people here this week.
Yeah.
The expo hall is massive. I've been spending a lot of time this week working in the Hyper-V and the Storage Spaces Direct booth, and I have yet to make it my way across the entire conference floor.
Yeah, I noticed you guys have been pretty busy over here fielding questions and helping customers with their issues, and I think that's the great thing about Ignite is that there's all sorts of MVPs and product managers floating around where you can talk one-to-one and make your concerns heard and get feedback on your challenges.
Yeah, it's the collaboration. There's a real sense of community here this year. Right?
Yeah.
It's a very, very open, and I mean all over the conference area. I mean it's huge. It takes about a half an hour to go from one end of the conference area to the other walking. And everywhere you go, you see groups of all different people from all different places getting together and talking about common issues, common concerns. I've gotten a lot of feedback this week that's been one of the greatest benefits that a lot of attendees have had this year is the ability to collaborate with peers in similar industries across the world.
Yeah, nothing to knock the sessions, but I leave the sessions for later. I've been spending the majority of my time just floating around on the conference floor and the after hours events and just talking to people and sharing it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And for anybody listening that's planning on coming to Ignite next year, that's a good pro tip, right? The breakout sessions are recorded. The theater sessions are not. The expo hall that we see here is only here for 4 days. So plan your days accordingly. I always like to prioritize the theater sessions, Kevin, because the theater sessions are what works in the real world. They're tips and tricks from the field from MVPs like you and I.
Yeah.
Then we have the expo hall, right? The expo hall is huge here. Somebody walked around here a couple of days ago, 1,600 steps to walk around the perimeter of the expo hall.
Yeah.
It's a great place to go and see what these companies are doing, what's new and innovative in their side of the world, and ultimately how we can use some of these products to help ourselves and our customers.
People always get worried that it's a waste of time to talk to the vendors, but I always find new vendors and people that I haven't been keeping close eye on, and I really get to find out what they're up to and what that means for me as a professional. I'm in the consulting space, you're in the consulting space, so you get the time to find out, oh, you're doing this, well, that totally opens the doors to some things I can try out with my customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Great conference. Glad I came.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time for a quick chat, and I'm sure you'll make other appearances on the YouTube channel, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Yeah.